What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel today. Now today we are focusing on the MLS, with it being just around the corner in about a month's time. I'm sure you guys are licking your lips. You're very excited to pick up some of them, obviously pre-season cards, or the early access cards, should I say, in Sorare. And yeah, I'm very excited to get this video out there for you guys, because it's going to be a guide to all of the goalkeepers that I believe are going to be starting for their clubs in the MLS this season. Now, I will say, obviously, this is a month in advance, so take, some of the information with a bit of, pinch of salt, because it could change, obviously. I will reiterate this, obviously, as the video goes on and in each segment of the video for you guys. But I will say I was massively helped by two MLS experts in this video, and also the MLS content that is going to be coming to the channel. And yeah, I'd really appreciate if you guys go and follow both of them, because they help me out massively. And that is Duncan Disorderly and MDK. Their links will be in the description down below. But yeah, if you guys need any help with MLS sort of opinions, or people that might be starting and that sort of thing, them two are fantastic, and they'll definitely reply to you and let you know their thoughts and opinions on all the players MLS. So yeah, if you need any help, then follow them both on Twitter, and they'll definitely help you as they help me in this video today. And I did want to say, guys, before we get into the video today, I will be making another video that is linked to the outfield players in the MLS, but obviously this is going to be your ultimate guide for all goalkeepers, and yeah, future videos will include other outfield players, so stay tuned for that one. And finally, do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel. All support is really appreciated. Let's get on with the video today. If you are new to Sorare and you're thinking about signing up, the best way to do so is using my affiliate link in the description. All you need to do is purchase 5 cards from the Sorare primary market, so that's from Sorare themselves, and in return you'll get £50 market credit. So that means you can get pretty much £100 worth of cards for just 50 quid. And obviously that will help a small creator like myself, because I will also get the same benefits. So why not? Obviously, I'm a lot smaller of a YouTuber, so hopefully you can support me by doing so in the description. On with the video. In the video today, guys, we have 30 teams to crack through, so obviously it's going to take quite some time, but I'm going to timestamp the video so you guys can skip through to each club if there's a specific club that you're looking out for. And yeah, I just wanted to sort of show all the signed goalkeepers, go through each team, give a little bit of an opinion on it, and yeah, just give you guys a bit of analysis into what I think in the goalkeeper situation. Obviously, the most important position in Sorare. So yeah, very important guide, this one, and I tried my best to try and make sure the information is as accurate as possible. Obviously, I will reiterate, I am making this video a month ahead of time, so this is definitely subject to change. But I thought I'd get the information that I know out there nice and early for you lot to sort of use as almost like a scouting analysis and take notes on, especially if it's a certain team that you're looking into potentially buying when these cards obviously get released. So starting off with Atalanta United, we've got Brad Guzan. Now most of you guys know this is an absolute legend, but this should be his last year or last run at it at the ripe old age of 40, and he will be looking to obviously continue his career sort of in the vein that has been going, and end the season sort of in that great light. And obviously if he does, then he will definitely go down as an MLS legend, and definitely an American legend. Now the good thing about Brad Guzan, if you sort of look at his scores and stuff in the past, is he's a bit of an AA machine. Now obviously kind of makes sense with Atalanta, but he's kind of a good goalkeeper because of his spikes. When he does hit these highs, it's going to be up there in the 90s and the 80s, which is really good for goalkeepers. Now, you guys know goalkeepers on Sorare usually get crucified for scores and stuff like that. So I think, to be fair, for a goalkeeper, his scoring's actually pretty good. And obviously those you guys that know him will know that he does score pretty well. And yeah, to be fair, obviously these prices will not be the same. Obviously in season, when the in-seasons are released, obviously the prices will come out. The one thing I do recommend for all of these, or generally speaking for MLS, if you're going to go in with your budget or whatever. Generally speaking, for the Premier League, it was sort of like if they are 2x their classic card, it's kind of worth it. If it's anything more, then maybe, depends who it is, but maybe you might want to hold out a little bit to see if their price drops. So, yeah, Brad Guzan. Now, obviously, I'm making this before anything gets released, but I don't know if he's going to cost crazy money because obviously he only has 1 year, well, potentially only 1 year utility. So, yeah, I probably wouldn't spend crazy money on him, guys, if you're going to go purchase him, because bear in mind you've only got 1 year with Guzan. But yeah, good goalkeeper. Let's get on to the next team. And next on our list today is Brad Stuver of Austin. Now, this guy has obviously been solid for years, an absolute wall, and I don't see much changing, to be honest. I think he's going to probably be the starting goalkeeper ahead of this season, and likely to be a pretty spenny one. Obviously, like I said, I'm sort of recording this before prices and stuff are out, but yeah, I do see Brad probably being quite an expensive one. You can see already his classic card is sort of starting to rise in price here, and yeah, it's pretty good scorer. Once again, he's got them spikes like Brad Guzan has. However, when he does spike, looks to be a bit more prominent than Brad Guzan. Obviously, Guzan sort of in the 80s and 80s and 70s, whereas Stuver can hit them hundreds, 90s, and definitely high 80s. So, yeah, if you're looking to hit some podiums, not a bad keeper to have in the gallery, that's for sure. Up next, we've got Montreal Impact, and I believe their goalkeeper is going to be Jonathan Sirios. Sorry if I butchered his name. I tried my best, but yeah, obviously this is a young goalkeeper, 23 years of age, and I expect him to be sort of their wall for a couple of years. Unless obviously he gets a move elsewhere. But yeah, being quite young, I think they're going to rely on him. Be definitely, obviously, a good asset for anyone's gallery, obviously because he's quite young. You can sort of see his classic card is sitting at about £7 to £8 at the moment. So yeah, his in season's probably going to be quite expensive once again, maybe 25, 30 potentially. So yeah, if you're watching this video and you can see the prices now, obviously I'm recording this way before I see prices, but potentially yeah, hovering around that £30 mark ish. But yeah, so looking at his scores. He seems to score okay. Perhaps a bit. There's a couple of definitely scores in there that would kill you. But yeah, his scores seem decent. That's for sure. Obviously, looking down here, it's obviously hard for goalkeepers to be really scoring consistently well, but he looks to be getting about 10 to 20 AA a game, which is not horrendous. And obviously, for a keeper his age, you have to assume that he's only going to get better and better. So perhaps this is the year where he really starts to, go on the rise. Up next, we have Charlotte FC. Now, this man does not need much explanation or too much detail to go into, because if you guys watch the MLS, you know this man was definitely the best goalkeeper in the league last year, at least for me. And yeah, probably going to be the best again this year, my assumption. Yeah, obviously he pretty much carried Charlotte to the playoffs last year. The side wasn't fantastic, but his goalkeeping ability was definitely up there. And yeah, at the minute his classic is sitting at about 10 to 11 pounds, which people probably anticipating. Obviously, with this new MLS comp coming in, people are sort of buying into it and all that stuff, so makes sense. But yeah, if I'm to guess, his in season's probably going to be quite expensive because it's quite a well-known card. He's going to play, pretty popular. Obviously, pretty much goalkeeper of the year last year. Got a nice big contract. No way he's not starting. Yeah, I'm guessing he's going to be like 30, 40 quid, honestly. Especially for the early access. His price might dip, but then again, with goalkeepers, their prices seem to be quite steadily, like slowly declining. Whereas like defenders and midfielders kind of drop off quite quickly, and then attackers obviously have a gradual sort of release in price, in my opinion. And yeah, in terms of scores, obviously the Charlotte side wasn't the best, and he was still scoring these fantastic scores. And I would assume, especially if you're a Charlotte fan, I would have not too much to worry. I assume he's probably going to, hit these sort of scores again, that's for sure. And yeah, I think he's definitely a good goalkeeper to have in the gallery. I mean, doesn't need much explanation, guys. Look at this. I mean, you can just tell. You can see it with your own eyes. Crazy scores. So yeah. Up next, we've got Chicago Fire, and yeah, this one is a bit of a funny one because obviously, like I said, I'm recording this in advance, and I actually do believe that Chicago Fire potentially could sign another goalkeeper, but obviously, as of recording this, I'm going to go with Chris Brady, the goalkeeper, who honestly, yeah, I mean, the team's not great, he's not great, it's just one of them. I guess he's going to be one of them low-end goalkeepers, but yeah, I mean, personally, I wouldn't be buying him, guys. But if you're on a budget, potentially, there is obviously a chance to be purchasing a goalkeeper like this. But yeah, you're gonna need some. You're gonna need these 90s and 60s, but it just doesn't happen enough for me. So I definitely don't really recommend going into a team like this. You can sort of see his scores here. I'll put it like this. He's not been great the last 2 years, so I would not be surprised if Chicago Fire went out and potentially got a new goalkeeper. But yeah, Chris Brady is going to be the goalkeeper, the starting goalkeeper for next year, in my opinion, as things stand. Next, we have the Colorado Rapids, and I'm going with Zachary Stefan. Now, I believe he's quite happy to be at a club that is playing him as a starter. Obviously, not having the most success in Europe. But yeah, I think Colorado, obviously, not been the best couple of years, but they're looking to push for playoff spaces, so I don't think they'll be messing around too much with the goalkeeper situation. But yeah, Stefan, you can see, pretty good scorer when obviously Colorado Rapids are on it, which I think they'll be really pushing for this year. Whether or not they get it is, yet to sort of be decided. But yeah, I think he's a pretty good goalkeeper. In my opinion, anyway, and obviously he's happy at the club, so yeah, I'm going to go with Zachary Stefan for the Rapids. Up next is the Columbus Crew, and their goalkeeper is Patrick Schult. Sorry, I don't know, I probably butchered that, but yeah, obviously didn't have a great sort of year last year, as you can see. It was okay, but obviously for the Colorado Rapids, I think they'll probably be expecting a little bit better, especially with some of these scores down here. But yeah, I think he's definitely a goalkeeper that can improve. I think he will get better. Potentially, this is going to be his season where he really sort of skyrockets to the top end of goalkeepers for the MLS. Yeah, let's see. I think he's got a lot of potential. Obviously, he's only 23, so yeah, it's yet to be seen, but I reckon they're going to start with him in goal this season. Now, up next, we have D.C United, obviously selling their goalkeeper from last year and signing Kim Jun Hong from South Korea, a new signing for them. And yeah, I believe he already has a classic cards, sorry, an in-season, so yeah, his price is already going to be up there, that's for sure. But yeah, signed from Korea. Looks like he's going to be a decent prospect potentially in the future. Could be yeah. I don't know. I think he could be on for a good season, but I think DC, yeah, that obviously last season wasn't great for them. So yeah, they needed to bring in some sort of fresh faces. And yeah, I think Mr. Kim here is definitely a good addition. Why not? You need to strengthen the squad somewhere. So yeah, I believe he'll be the starting goalkeeper for DC United this season. Up next, we have Cincinnati, and obviously their goalkeeper, same as last year for me, Roman Celentano. Obviously, still quite young. Similar situation to Columbus Crew, with obviously Patrick Schult, and yeah, goalkeeper that perhaps didn't play the best last season, as you can see from his scores here. They're they're okay, but it's sort of like the inconsistencies there, and also when he spikes, he's only hitting the 70s, so it's not like crazy. But again, quite young, definitely got the potential to be, um, a good goalkeeper in the MLS. So I think he's going to really turn it on this season to sort of secure his number one spot in Cincinnati's side. And yeah, I'm going to go with Roman for the starting position of Cincinnati. Dallas are the next team we're going to be looking into, and obviously their keeper, as of last year, I think they're going to go with the same keeper here with Martin Pays. but obviously Dallas have sold quite a lot of their players this transfer window, so not too sure how he's going to get on in terms of like SO5 scoring. You can see last season, obviously scored pretty decent with a couple of peaks in there at the start of the season, and then sort of tapered off towards the end with some poor performances sort of on the back end of the season. But yeah, sort of reiterated in the video that goalkeepers can sometimes score like this, sometimes obviously through no fault of their own, which is why I wanted to sort of talk about the Dallas situation in general. So yeah, obviously with them selling a lot of players can mean the defense has obviously got a lot worse. So maybe Pais will have to carry the side. But yeah, they are being linked with some signings that could potentially very like improve the side. For example, Evander from Portland Timbers has been linked to move to Dallas, and obviously if that happens, then he will definitely be helping Martin here carry the side. That's for sure. But yeah, I think you should hope. Yeah, I think this one's a bit of a risky one because we have to wait and see how Dallas does in the transfer window. But yeah, I think if they bring in the likes of Evander, then obviously, I mean, you guys know he's a great SO5 scorer and definitely can help any team in the MLS. But yeah, if they don't get him, maybe it's not going to be the best season for him. And yeah, obviously, like I reiterated with the other goalkeepers, this will probably reflect in his price, where it's sort of like almost like a middle price, just because the uncertainty's there on how well they're going to perform. But yeah, I think if you think Dallas are going to do well, then this is definitely going to be a starting keeper for FC Dallas. Houston Dynamo is going to be the team that we're looking at now, and their situation is obviously quite interesting with obviously Steve Clark having left the club. Obviously he was their main goalkeeper last season, and it's going to be between obviously Tarbell and I believe it's Moria, the other goalkeeper. I think again, it's going to be a little bit of a battle between to see who sort of starts in net for them. Probably decided in pre-season. However, I think because Tarbell's been there a few seasons, perhaps like his loyalty to the club will give him the edge in this one. I'm probably going with more of like a maybe like a 60-40 Tarbell, because obviously when he has come in, he's definitely not done too bad. There's no reason for them to sort of be um, I guess worried in the sense that maybe he's not a great performer for them. But I reckon, yeah, a bit risky, obviously, with a reserve goalkeeper or a substitute goalkeeper sort of stepping in for the season. But I think because they've sort of got that backup, if all else fails, then of course they can fall upon the other option. But yeah, I'd probably lean 60% to Tarbell here. We'll see what happens in pre-season. Obviously, once again, his price is definitely going to sort of reflect the uncertainty, I guess, in people not sure what Houston Dynamo are going to do this season. But yeah, Andrew Tarbell is my pick for this one. Up next, we have Inter Miami, and now this is our first of the video of the guide. Complete 50-50, I'll be honest. So Inter Miami obviously they have Rios as well, and yeah, I think honestly it's really hard to tell. You'll know as soon as the season starts, obviously. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see who Mascherano picks here, because obviously Calendar, yeah, I don't know. His scores he just seems super inconsistent, like you can see here. Yeah, it's just either a fantastic game or a terrible one, and it's not really what you want from a keeper. You want that consistency. He's such an important position on the field. You sort of need to know what you're going to get from your keeper. So it's a weird one. I'll be honest. It's a complete 50-50. Yeah, once again, if you buy into Miami, I suggest buying both goalkeepers at the same time, because let's just say if Calendar does start here, and the other goalkeeper Rios doesn't, if you both just buy them at the same time for the price, if that makes sense, you're not going to lose out on the profit, or the profit loss gain is going to be the same, if that makes sense, because obviously if the other goalkeeper starts, his price is going to go up and Calendar will go down. But if you buy them both at the same time, you should be alright. Up next, we have LA Galaxy. Now, obviously, they've just won the title, so they're not going to be looking to change much. Yeah, I think they keep the same goalkeeper, John McCarthy. They have, however, just signed a new goalkeeper called Marcinkowski. Again, probably completely butchered that name. But yeah, he looks to be signed as a backup, as Mikovic looks to be heading back to Serbia. Sorry, that's obviously the other backup goalkeeper. Looks to be heading back to Serbia. So yeah, I think the new goalkeeper they just signed is probably going to be backup. Because yeah, you just won a title. You don't want to change too much. Quite a safe purchase in my opinion in McCarthy. And yeah, looking at his scores, not too bad. I mean, they won the title, so it's one of those. It's one of those. It's weird with goalkeepers like this because obviously, kind of maybe doesn't get potentially as much action as other goalkeepers do get. So the AA might not be there, but obviously you're just praying for that clean sheet and praying that LA Galaxy perform. Up next we have LAFC, and this is Hugo Lloris. Obviously, he's making an absolute bag from LAFC, so yeah, it's a no-brainer. He's definitely going to be the starter with the contract that he's on, that's for sure. And he'll be looking to have a very solid year. And yeah, SO5 scoring is just fantastic. Now, I will say LAFC, they're losing a couple of players. I think there's potential that Bwanga's gone, Mateusz Bogusz is gone, so potentially there's potential for a fall off here, but obviously we don't know. Well, I don't quite know who they're going to bring in yet, because obviously, like I said, recording this a bit early. But yeah, maybe it's a safe purchase in the sense that you know he's going to play, but maybe LAFC aren't as good as last year. Because in my opinion, I mean, I think most people's opinion, Boanga and Bogusz were like unreal for LAFC, and to replace them is going to be quite hard. So we'll see what happens with LAFC. But yeah, Lloris, pretty simple, going to be the starting keeper for me. Up next, Minnesota, we have Dane Sinclair. Obviously, he's been their starter for a while. I don't really see much changing for Minnesota here. Again, quite a safe pick. Scores are sort of there or thereabouts. Typical goalkeeper scores really. It's just 40s or crazy spikes, which is good. It's good to see a keeper can score hundreds and 86s here for sure. But yeah, solid goalkeeper. I don't think much changes. He's been their keeper for a while, so yeah, Dane Sinclair is your Minnesota goalkeeper. Up next, we have Nashville. Now, Joe Willis. I reckon he's going to be the starting goalkeeper, but I know that the manager isn't the biggest fan of him, so it could be one where if he starts the season poorly, likely could end up being dropped, that's for sure. Yeah, because whenever the manager isn't the biggest fan, there is potential for stuff like that to happen. And yeah, Nashville's just not the best team overall, so obviously he's not going to score fantastically, and yeah, his price sort of shows that. I don't expect his in-season to be too expensive either. If you guys are looking to purchase one, I don't recommend paying too much for this man, because he definitely has potential to get dropped, let's just say the least. And if you're a Nashville fan, good luck. New England up next. Now, this is a similar situation to Inter Miami, where we've got Bono obviously moving from DC, and we've got Avacic here. Now, it's a complete 50-50 in my eyes anyway, and I believe, like, if I had to lean towards someone, I would say Ivacic. I think Bono potentially going to be the backup here, but yeah, it's an interesting one, probably going to be depending on how, like, pre-season goes, training and things like that, how they train, sort of stuff like that, so it's a bit up in the air. Obviously, they signed the young goalkeeper first in the draft, but I expect him to be playing probably for the youth team, and potentially in in years to come could be number one for New England. But yeah, I would lean towards Avacic here, and again, if you're invested in him, bear in mind that there's sort of an up and coming talent in the youth ranks that potentially could take his spot in a year or two. But yeah, interesting one for New England. Let me know what you guys think if you're a New England fan. But I'm slightly leaning Avacic here because Bono wasn't the best at DC. Yeah. Up next we have New York City, and Matt Freese pretty nailed to be the keeper here. However, I think New York's sort of season almost relies on his performances. Obviously last year wasn't the best defensively. You can see sort of in the back end here, not the best. Started pretty well, but yeah, Matt Freeh's pretty safe goalkeeper to go with, but he needs to sort of make sure this form isn't. He needs to sort of hopefully he can recapture the start of the season form as opposed to the end of the season form. Because I feel like New York definitely rely on him but I don't know. It's a tricky one because obviously the defense was so shaky. Potentially not even his fault, but yeah, good goalkeeper. Definitely will be reasonably priced as well because I'd say his spot is pretty nailed. And yeah, that's going to be my starting goalkeeper for New York. Up next, we have New York Red Bulls. Now, they will be looking to continue their success of last year, obviously reaching the finals. And Coronel, again, probably butchered his name, but he's going to be the number one for me. Great leader on the pitch, and no doubt they won't really want to change too much. Obviously, last season reaching the finals. I will say again, quite a spiky goalkeeper in the sense that he has the lows, he has the highs. I think that's just part and parcel of being a goalkeeper, to be honest, on Sorare. Sometimes get a bit crucified with your scores, but yeah, a good leader. Definitely not a terrible investment, I would say. Yeah, again, probably going to be one of the keepers that's reasonably priced. And yeah, I think you'll do well to pick up a player like him because he has obviously the potential of doing well if the New York Red Bulls do well as well. Up next, we have Orlando City, and Pedro Galiz, definitely number one for me. Obviously, starts for Peru, and yeah, Orlando, great defensively. So, all round, I'd say a pretty safe goalkeeper to go with here. You can see from his scores, guys, he's probably like the best or like consistent wise, or he's definitely up there, should I say, in the MLS for consistency. As the Orlando defense in general is quite good. So yeah, if you're thinking about stacking teams or how you're going to put things into a sort of a lineup or a build, potentially a little Orlando defensive stack with some more attacking teams around him might be quite a good little purchase. Up next, we have Philadelphia Union, and Andre Blake looks to be the goalkeeper here. Philadelphia Union, obviously quite a great side, but yeah, they'll be fighting to keep hold of Kai Wagner, that's for sure. But yeah, if they keep hold of him, again, it's not really confirmed yet on my end, but yeah, if they keep him, should be fine. Obviously, if they get rid of him, it'll be a big loss, that's for sure. But yeah, quite a good goalkeeper in the back end of the season, as you can see. And yeah, I think Philadelphia is a solid team, so decent little investment in Mr. Blake. Up next, we have the Portland Timbers. Now, this is an absolute battle of the ages. We have who I believe will at least start the season in goal, Crepeu. Sorry, terrible at pronouncing names, but he has a battle on his hands this season with Pantemis. Again, awful with names. I'm sorry, guys, but yeah, you guys can see on so rare the names. But yeah, I reckon they'll have a little duel this season. I wouldn't be surprised if the other goalkeeper gets his opportunity. Bit of a risky one here, but again, probably will reflect on the price. I'm guessing he'll be quite a cheap goalkeeper. So yeah, I reckon he'll start the season at least, and then potentially how he performs will depend if the other man gets an opportunity or not. But yeah, you can see from his scores here, pretty decent, but definitely has the potential to score pretty badly and ruin a lineup, that's for sure. So again, probably a cheap option, but I wouldn't say a safe one, that's for sure. Next, we have Salt Lake, and Zach McMath is definitely their number one keeper. However, I believe he'll be out for the first 3 months of the season, which is not ideal, of course, but I did want to keep him as the starting keeper position because I do think he is. But yeah, they'll probably start the season with Rafael Cabral. There's a small chance that the other goalkeeper might start, but yeah, I put McMath because obviously I think he's the main goalkeeper there. But yeah, he'll be out for the starting of the season, so bear that in mind, guys, when you're purchasing him. But a good goalkeeper nonetheless. And obviously, again, price will probably be quite cheap because he's injured. But yeah, for the first 3 months, no utility, but you can buy the other goalkeeper, and then obviously when he's back, he should be cooking. Up next, San Diego, and I'm going to go with CJ Dos Santos as the starting goalkeeper. Obviously signed from Inter Miami. honestly, this is just a stab in the dark in terms of his performances. As you can see here, he's barely played for Inter Miami. One really good game, one really bad game. Yeah, if it goes well, he'll be a long-term keeper at the club. If it doesn't, then who knows? But yeah, I reckon he'll at least start the season, and let's see how he does. Up next is the Earthquakes, and I'm going to go with Daniel because I believe from what I remember, yeah, he's probably like one of the most improved goalkeepers, definitely of last year. I think he sort of like ended the season quite well here, as you can see. But I will say it will be a battle with Earl Edwards for the starting position. But yeah, I'm leaning Daniel in this one. Let me know what you guys think, especially if you're an Earthquakes fan. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Daniel as the keeper. I think he's got more to show. That maybe he hasn't shown his full potential quite yet. Up next is the Seattle Sounders. This one's a pretty safe one. Stefan Fry, in my opinion, he's still got it, still doing well, and Seattle really, with the signings that they've sort of got in, they really could do the business this season. Yeah, definitely one of those sort of teams or goalkeepers that should be relatively safe. You can see from his scores. Again, he's one of those consistent ones that perhaps doesn't spike like crazy, but let's see this year if he can hit these sort of numbers again. It's one of those you'd like to have in the gallery because you don't have to worry too much about maybe being rotated out. I feel like he's pretty solidified in the team, that's for sure. And yeah, pretty consistent 60s, which is what you want in a goalkeeper, really. I mean, anything above 40 is a dub. Up next is Sporting Kansas City, and again, another interesting sort of situation here. Looks like I've gone with John Polskamp here to step into sort of the goalkeeper role, and I hope for their case he does well because they don't have many good backups at all, and yeah, could be a potential L here for the Sporting Kansas City, assuming they don't sign anyone. But yeah, probably going to be quite cheap, I would assume, in early access, and there's a reason for that because again, it's sort of the unknown. We're not really sure how he's going to get on, but let's hope for Sporting's sake he does well. Up next, we have St. Louis City, and Roman Berkey is going to be the goalkeeper for me. Obviously, 2 years ago, shocking the world, winning the Conference League with his side, and they've sort of, regressed naturally, as most teams do when they outperform themselves over the last year. Sort of gone that like regressing in form, but as you can see, definitely at the back end of the season, perhaps not getting the scores that he did at the start. But yeah, there's a couple of 80s and 90s in there, so not the worst goalkeeper in the world. And definitely pretty nailed to be the starter. So yeah, not a terrible pickup for Roman Berkey. Up next, we have Toronto. Now they've finally got rid of Insigne off the wage slip or off the wage bill, so they actually have a bit more room to play with in terms of finances. But yeah, Johnstone, sorry, completely just couldn't get his name out there. I don't think he'll keep many clean sheets. Doesn't look like the best goalkeeper in the world, that's for sure. Defensively, obviously Toronto not the best. As you can see, he even got dropped for some part of the season. Yeah, very risky purchase. Probably going to be quite cheap. My again sort of prediction here, but yeah, now Toronto sort of have a bit more room in the wage department. Perhaps they pick up a few more players and improve as a side, and maybe Sean Johnston follows that trend and performs well, or potentially they could get another goalkeeper in. Who knows? Last but not least, we have Takoka. I know that's not how you say his name, but I'm bad with names, guys. Now, I believe the backup goalkeeper here, Bahoma, again, sorry. I'm just sorry. The backup goalkeeper, he's done a great job every time he's sort of stepped in, and I believe that this goalkeeper, I'm not going to say his name again, will potentially join, go back to Japan, and the backup might potentially sort of fill in for him. So again, bit of a weird dynamic, weird situation, a little bit risky to invest into, but obviously this man will have utility when he moves club, that's for sure. So it won't be a complete L if you do buy him and he ends up leaving the club. But yeah, again, a bit of a bit park sort of goalkeeper that you might be able to throw in for cheap. But yeah, definitely potentially look into the backup for like a cheap goalkeeper in the now that potentially could rise in price if he does get the sort of number one spot, because if this man does leave, then the backup is very likely to step in, having done so well when he has been called upon. So there we have it, guys. There is my ultimate starting guide to the goalkeepers in the MLS this season. Now, I will obviously reiterate, subject to change, as the season obviously hasn't started yet. But hopefully it gives you guys something to think about when you're purchasing these early access cards on Sorare. And yeah, I will state once again, I was massively helped in this video by MDK and Duncan, so I'd really appreciate if you drop them a follow on Twitter. With that being said, guys, like the video, took me a long time to make as always. Subscribe if you are new, and I'll catch you guys in a future video. Peace.